Welcome back to the Volvo Ocean Race. It is day 12 of leg 6, and today in the studio I'm joined with Jenny. G'day.
G'day. Happy to be here with you guys today.
Fantastic. Now what have you got there in your hands?
I've got a Garmin 360 camera.
And what do you do with that normally when you're out at sea?
Well, normally we're using it on the boat every day to bring a new perspective, but today we're giving it away to the lucky winner.
To one lucky winner of the competition that we've been running over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So that's at the end of the show, but coming up we've also got a conversation with Cecile Leggett on Team AkzoNobel, feeling pretty chirpy at the front of the fleet. However, at the back the morale is not quite so high. After I spoke with Jack Boutel, struggling in the light winds on Dongfeng Race Team. Don't forget to drop some of your questions at the for Jen. We'll be replying to those at the end of the show. So you know, this is the way that Facebook works. But also remember, over the weekend we had a drop in the communications satellite system, and we couldn't get some of the awesome images that Jen's colleagues were sending to us. So to catch you up on all of the action that's been going on out on the water, check out this montage.
Second, Asco, 6.1 miles behind the leader. Don't leave us. We are in front by 6 miles.
So we had a really good night sailing. We had some happy clouds that helped us. And the position report this morning reveals that we've closed up on the podium places. Also, we have Brunel in our sights physically this morning.
Good action out on the water there, even though the tricky winds can sometimes make progress difficult. However, there's plenty more challenges to come. Let's have a look at the virtual eye tracker to see what is laying in wait for the fleet over the next couple of days. As we zoom in on the boats, this is where they were 24 hours ago, and you can see Mafre and Dongfeng Race Team starting out at 160 miles and then just closing the gap all the way down to 60 as Songhai Scallywag and AkzoNobel have struggles underneath the clouds. Now this compaction is only going to get worse in the next couple of days as, well, the wind machine is going to turn off for those at the front, and it's going to be a real struggle. At the moment they're sailing in sort of light westerly, sort of 12 knots if they're lucky, and looking forward, it's going to be a real struggle to figure out which way to go and indeed how to put that strategy into place. As we look into what happens later on in the week, around the 24th, you can see that there's a nice high pressure zone there established well in the middle of the Tasman, but that's going to get brushed out of the way by an incoming cold front that is going to whip the boats all the way towards Cape Reinga and finally Auckland. However, at the back of the fleet, a few challenges still remain, and I spoke with Jack Boutel on Dongfeng Race Team about who was there in the cockpit with him.
So at the moment, Jeremy Bay is driving, Charles on the main, and Caroline's tripping the code 0. Yeah, everyone's trying to wish for some more wind, but slow going, very slow going.
Can you see Mafre at the moment?
I think they're 1.8 miles to windward of us, so we can see them, and we had 2 days where we got, I think, 20 miles away from them, which was quite nice, and basically with all the cloud activity, we had a cloud with no wind and they had a cloud with good wind and came back, and we're once again tied at the hip with them, which we were for the first probably 8 days.
Both of you got, completely shelled out the back of the fleet. Is that because you were sort of match racing each other in the middle of the ocean?
We were ahead at the beginning of the leg and turned out to be 150 miles behind at the beginning of the leg was actually a better way to go, like Scallywag and Akzo, who are currently quite a long way ahead of us. So all the fight for the first sort of week was pretty much pointless, which is quite hard to live with. And yeah, for sure we're keeping an eye on each other a little bit. But yeah, then we just got a bit of a bad transition at one point, and it was pretty. Basically, the weather hasn't really lined up with any sort of grid file or weather file we have, so it's pretty hard to know. And at some point, you just have to pick a route, and the one we have didn't really turn out, but. Still fighting, still a very, very long way to go, so we'll see what happens.
It must be intimidating sort of staring down the barrel of potentially 1,000 miles of light air. Can you tell us what Pascal has been briefing you on regarding the way forward?
the only thing that's certain is nothing is certain currently. So the weather model can say 10 knots from the east and you have 0 knots from the west, or and you can have a cloud that can bring you 30 knots and you can advance hugely, or you can have a cloud that has no wind in it and you can lose huge. So it's really you sort of just have to take it with a pinch of salt and sort of go where you feel a bit. But yeah, it's quite hard to work out what to do exactly.
You're clearly sounding tired after all of those challenges. Are you concerned about running out of food at all?
Not too bad at the moment. I think we have 20 days of food that we brought, and there's always a bit of leftover, so you can probably drag it out to 22, 23 days. But yeah, for me, I quite like eating, so I don't really want to push it too much. But
Looking over your head, can you see stars? If there are frustrations about being outside in a windless zone, can you at least enjoy the beautiful scenery?
At times, it's been really nice. Like we had a few nights that were just amazing. Like the depth of stars is just incredible. There's no light pollution. There's nothing, and we had a night the other night with lots of phosphorescence in the water, so it's like the water was glowing, and it's hugely stars, which is really amazing. Tonight there's not too many yet, but yeah, we've definitely had a few nights that have been really beautiful. But
very good. All right. Well, thanks very much, Jack. All the best.
Sweet man. Catch you later.
Cheers. Slow going there on Dongfang Racing, but at least Jack and his crew can enjoy the beautiful stars. One of the things that I really enjoy about being offshore. However, coming up now is Cécile Laguette on Team AkzoNobel. She is a up-and-coming solo superstar in France that she's been sailing the last couple of years in the Figaro class, which for those outside of France is relatively unknown. However, next to the Volvo 65s, it is the strictest offshore one design class. However, the big distinction is that it's solo, so she's out there sailing by herself. And it's a good opportunity for her now on her second leg in the Volvo Ocean Race to pick up a few tips from the old timers.
Oh yeah, just I mean, what's really different is in the boat I race, we do sort of in the Soldier Figaro, the longest leg is 500 miles. Here it's 6,000 miles. So you just go watching those guys just keeping the intensity on the boat for 20 days. I think it's one of the biggest things. Like you can't. It's not because it's a long race that you can just let your attention or your concentration drop for a minute. When you're on watch, you're fully concentrated, you're fully on 4 hours, full on, and sometimes it extends way past 4 hours because there's sail changes, massive clouds coming and stuff like that, and it's pretty impressive you learn a lot from them about the level of intensity you've got to output and stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Over the weekend, you left everybody in your wake, and then Sung Kai was a long way behind, and it looked like there was one big cloud that allowed the Hong Kong boat to slip past you. Can you talk us through that moment?
I mean, we sort of knew that despite we had, I think, about 200-mile lead on the other guys, and maybe we got up to 80 or 100 on Scallywag, but we knew that it wasn't going to last forever. We knew we were going to get into the doldrums and that everyone's going to catch up, unfortunately. So we tried to not worry too much about us and just keep looking forward. And yeah, the clouds is a bit of a, we do, obviously Jules has done an amazing job of putting us in the right spots so far, but there's a bit of also luck involved, and we've been pretty lucky with the clouds we had as well. And yeah, it's just the way it is, and but for us it's not over. Like we're just working hard all day to pass them, and we'll get the job done hopefully.
Now, Cécile, we'll come back and talk about clouds in a second, but can you just talk us through the noise that is going on in the background? It sounds like the keel.
Yeah, the keel canting a lot, so the wind is quite shifty and puffy, so we've got to play with the keel a lot more than when, you're sort of sailing in 15, 20 knots of breeze. So the keel's going, sometimes has to go all the way to leeward, like negative heels, to be able to keep a little bit of heel on the boat, to keep the boat moving forward. So there's a lot of adjustment going on.
And does that mean that you're also stacking all of the sails and equipment to leeward as well, with every puff and lull?
Yeah, so we try and not move the stack too much with every puff because you don't want to disturb the boat trim. But yeah, everything's as far forward as we possibly can, both inside and outside, yeah.
People often think that when the wind goes down and you end up drifting around, that it gets easier to sail in these conditions. But you and I both know that it's actually one of the hardest places to sail. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, light wind is always tougher than heavy breeze. Heavy breeze, you've got to push. It's tiring. You get lots of water on the deck and stuff. But it's more. I guess it's easier because the boat it's powered up, you go fast, you just have to drive and you adjust the trim a lot less as well. Like you'd be, playing the main sheet, but here we've got to be adjusting the trim every few seconds, easing because the problem in the light wind is if you stop, then it's really hard to accelerate again. So you never want to make the boat stop. So you've got to be really on your toes to be able to ease every time you can go forward, accelerate, get a bit faster. So it's a lot tougher, for sure.
Now, that boat is incredibly noisy, with the keel mechanism and obviously with the boats banging up and down. Sailing a Volvo Ocean 65 kind of sounds like you're living in the middle of a construction project.
Yeah.
What is it actually like?
It's pretty much a good summarization of it.
Yeah.
Like you get used to it, but most people are surprised by the noise.
And one thing that struck me too is that the boats are incredibly noisy even when they're not going that fast, because you can hear just the smallest ripple when it runs down the side, right?
Yeah, you can hear everything. It's good when you want to know what's going on with the boat, but also will warn you when something's bad or something bad happens or if you hit something.
So you can, if you hit something. So you can always be connected into what life is like on board. Remember, I'm here with Jen Edney Obiar. She's one of the 9 Obiars that circulate between all of the boats on the fleet. And I didn't prep you for this one, so let's fly up this photo that I selected from your Facebook, actually.
All right.
And I was wondering if you can talk us through this photo. What's going on? When was it taken? And how did you take the shot?
Well, this was taken during the Leg 3 in the Southern Ocean leg with Matt Frey. And it was actually just after my accident. And I needed to get some photos. And also, it was a photo I had in mind, but I wasn't able to go out on deck. And so I like to play around with mounting cameras on the other sailors and around the boat, and it was just a forced opportunity to get a photo I had in my mind. So I sent one of the guys out, I sent Louis out with the camera and set it on photos, and kind of had an idea, so I knew where he was going to be kind of on the boat, and just kind of hoped that it would happen.
So one of your best photos, just be clear, one of your best photos from Leg 3 was one that you didn't actually take.
Well, it was mounted, yeah. Yeah.
Now, what's going on in this shot? It looks like they're grinding, and if I'm looking at the clue of the sail, they're halfway through a jibe. Is that right?
Yeah, they were jibing. This was during the last bit of the jibe fest. Just trying to show. Really, the idea was to get the grit. I mean, the idea was in my head to get the grit and get in the action, because it's kind of hard for us to get fully in there, and so you have to find creative ways to mount the cameras. So that was the idea. Yes, someone else was wearing it, but the idea has been there for a long time, and just I have mounts all over the boat, just trying to figure out how to get in there when you can't physically get in there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's a great shot and really throws you right into the heart of the action.
Yeah.
But if we can just rewind things back a little bit and talk a little bit about what the role is of the OBR, the onboard reporter, and how you got selected for it, and whether this is your dream job. What do you think?
Well, it absolutely is my dream job.
Yep.
And even with the ups and downs and anything that comes in between, it's still my dream job, and I love doing it every day. But yeah, our job out there is to bring the story to the viewers as much as we can and tell the story of what's going on, as true as we can and as creative as we can, and in as many different angles as we can.
Yeah.
So constantly thinking outside the box.
Well, it's incredible, because spending hundreds of days on the boat, you can so quickly burn through the list of shots that you can come up with, and then you need to really think super creatively as to how to keep that sort of alive and interesting. But this is one of the things that's totally unique in sport, isn't it? You don't watch football players sort of filming each other when they're out on the field, do you? So can you tell us, give us a couple of sort of crunchy anecdotes as to what life is like and how surprising you found it?
Well, one way I like to say is it's almost like you're working from home, because every day you crawl out of your bunk and straight down to your office, or put on your clothes and go out and shoot.
Pretty sweet commute.
Yeah, pretty sweet commute, pretty short, which is pretty awesome. But just being able to observe, you're observing daily life out there and being able to tell the story of the sailors day in and day out. You're working in 65 feet of space, trying to come up with new and creative angles all the time to tell that story. And then you're just building your relationships with them. So essentially you can be a fly on the wall. And
what was the route that brought you here? You grew up in Nebraska, which is not known for its sailing culture.
Yeah.
How did you get from there to here?
In a short snippet, basically I was working in California at a newspaper, and one of my photo assignments was to photograph a young boy who was going to circumnavigate the world, try to go for the world record. So that was
Cool.
my segue into the sailing
Yep.
industry. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and now, well, I guess you started out that segment thinking that he was insane, and now most of the people watching this show think that you're insane. So, we've closed the loop. Anyway, we've got a question that's just popped up on Facebook from Franz Lietenauer, asking you now as a sailor, what is life like on board, sort of as a fly on the wall, as you said, but is it frustrating for you not to be able to participate in the actual sailing of the boat?
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating to not be able to help, especially when we're in the Southern Ocean and they're driving day in and day out. It's, all you can do is do what you can, you can help bail water, you can help with food, you can help with certain tasks, but you can't help with the ones, lifting things and a lot of the things on the boat. So you just help when you can.
Yeah. So no lifting, jibing, or anything that alters the performance of the boat.
No.
But you're not there as slave labor either. You're not washing their socks and cooking food and doing tea. You're not doing any more of that than
Nope.
any other crew member.
No more, but you just help as much as you can.
Yeah. Now's your opportunity to dish a little bit on what life is really like. Are there any skippers or sailors or boats and programs that push that a little further than it should?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so
Yeah.
there you go, above board. Now, you mentioned briefly that you were injured, and we had a question here from Jenny Vickery asking about whether you're completely recovered. Can you sort of talk us through what your injury was and how you got back without a broken eye?
Yeah, actually it was a particularly rough day out there, and I was helping Juan Villa and Rob Greenlaw with the food bag. We were just transferring food into the daily food bag, sitting down on the windward side near the bulkhead, and just hit a wave. Both Juan and I had our hands up and hit a wave right when we, it just happened so fast. I went face first into the bulkhead.
Oh, that's nasty, and we're seeing
Yeah.
these sort of gruesome images of you getting a pretty interesting haircut there. Did you hit anything on the bulkhead in particular, or this is just you head against a flat panel?
Head against a flat panel, yeah. So, right now I say, Southern Ocean 1, Gen 0. Like to even that score a little bit, but...
Nice, and you're
yeah.
expected to get back on the boats in Auckland and go around the Horn?
Yeah, I'll hopefully get back out there as soon as I can, so...
See how the rotation
Yeah.
goes. And so what was recovery? I saw you just a week or so after that, and your face was all swollen, and you certainly weren't going to win any beauty parades. What have you been doing since then? Did you have any bone damage? Or?
No, I was quite lucky, very, very lucky, so no breakage, just had to heal, just take time to heal and make sure there wasn't any concussion or eye problems afterwards, and all clear to get back out there.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Okay, now we just saw photos of presumably Mafre medic Sophie Cizek treating you. Now, clearly, when you've got somebody's blood all over your hands and somebody's life potentially in the hands of your compatriots, you create a really close bond with those people. Can you talk a little bit about that and whether you feel part of the team or always sort of one step removed?
With Matt Frey, I've always felt part of the team. They've always just kind of made me feel that way from day one. But especially after that experience, it was quite rough, down there. But then Sophie was awesome. She right away came in from, doing her job on deck and all her fell weather gear, and got right into it with positive attitude and made you feel comfortable, even though she thought I broke my face and you didn't know what you looked like. Didn't make you feel nervous or anything, and at ease, and handled the situation really, really well. And then after that, just taking care of me, making sure I was up, because it just so that I didn't have a concussion, checking, make sure I was okay. Everybody did a great job. So.
Well, thankfully, so far in the race that we've been lucky to have relatively few injuries. So I'm sorry you drew the short straw on that one. But it is obviously proof of the fact that you're completely isolated out there, and you have to be completely self-contained with all of the skills and medical equipment on board.
Yeah.
Now, clearly you spent a lot of time with Mafre, and you've had a great relationship with him. Can you tell us a little bit about that team? What's the inside scoop on that team?
For me, it's one big family. You have your paired watch systems, and everybody takes care of each other. Chabi's a great leader. He does everything. Everybody does everything on the boat. Everybody takes care of each other. Just for me, it's a well-oiled machine, And
so they came into this as clear race favorites, trying to win this race for I think the 5th time in a row for Chabi. And so despite that, despite the pressure of having to perform, they're still a good family, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, across their whole team, that's just a vibe that I've always gotten from the beginning, and it just seems to get stronger as the race goes on. So.
All right, now another team that you've sailed with, Turn the Tide on Plastic, a little bit different in terms of their aspirations, goals, and indeed preparation. Can you tell us about how that sort of manifests itself on the water?
Yeah, I think, working with different teams is unique for us this race, but, you get the opportunity to just see how different teams operate, so daily life is different, no better or worse, it's just different, and whatever, you find out what works for your team, so.
And so you did leg one with who? I'm sorry, you told me
Turn
before.
the Tide.
Turn the Tide, okay, so there we go. Leg one, day one, you've got a bunch of rookies on Turn the Tide. What was that like for you as a fly on the wall? Did you see wide-eyed expressions on?
Well, yeah, because I was also a rookie.
Yep.
It was my first race, and it was my first time going offshore, and we had a heck of a start. Going through the fleet.
The spectator boats.
Yeah, the spectator boat. So that was one way to get things going for all of us. But it was quite unique, I think, to be on board with so many rookies, considering I was one myself.
Cool.
So.
Now, one of the questions that we get a lot, and that we'll be talking more in depth about with you, sort of technical details about how to keep camera stuff alive. But as you know, you're offshore, you've got water, you've got salt, and you've got electronics equipment. That's a pretty brutal cocktail. Briefly, can you tell us about how you keep this expensive machinery alive?
Yeah, I mean, we take the proper precautions when we can. We have water housings when it's really wet, water bags. Everybody kind of has a few little extra things in their kit to help them out. Jan Ryu, has a few extra bits, but
He's got a whirly gig on top of his helmet.
yeah, water housings, POV, action cameras, anything that you just kind of assess the weather that day and what's going to work best for that day.
And have you ever been caught out?
Rags,
Have you been
yeah,
swamped by a wave when you have your camera out of the housing? No.
Most of us would like to say no, but at some point, yeah, you do get stuck. But you try the best you can, and you take care of it as much as you can inside. Alcohol wipes, clean whatever you can to keep it clean and dry. Yeah.
Very good. As you can see, really intense images. Tough to keep the camera equipment alive, but also, do you have any? This is me pumping you for information now, because I often struggle with this when I'm offshore, is getting water droplets on the lens and ruining the shot. Do you use Rain-X, or what's the deal?
Rain-X, no, usually just either fresh water or you have to lick lick it. It's not pretty.
I've been known to lick the hell out of my lenses.
You lick your lens, or fresh water usually is the best. So.
It's not pretty.
Yeah.
And finally, for today at least, one of the questions that we get a lot about is drones. So this is the Phantom Professional 4 from DJI. Can you talk us a little bit about what this is like for you to fly? This was new for you, wasn't it? You were a ground-based photographer before.
Yeah. Well, I think for most of us, it's a unique experience flying off the boat, because everything that makes it safe to fly on land, you have to turn off when you go offshore.
Exactly. So they have GPS, and they've got a bunch of cameras and sensors and so on, so it can detect stuff to avoid crashing into a wall, as we've seen on YouTube, I'm sure. And as you say, you have to turn off all of the sort of nanny state equipment in order to be able to catch it again, right? So you have to. How does that work? So have you nipped anybody's fingers when it comes back into land?
Not yet.
All right. So it flies in, and some unlucky crew member that you've bribed with
We do have gloves to help out
catches
with that.
it.
Yeah.
And for, well, I was going to say for your education, but certainly for your entertainment, we're going to be doing a live demonstration of that here tomorrow in the studio. So here we go. I'm just proving that I have got all my fingers today. I hope that that's still the case tomorrow. But the moment that we've all been waiting for, Jen, can you announce the winner of the Garmin Verb 360 is?
The winner is Kostas Pagonis.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Kostas. You are only 12 minutes off the actual crossing time of Team X Nobel when they cross the equator. So congratulations. This is a €800 value prize, so it's pretty awesome. And it comes with Jen, who will be teaching you how to use it, right?
Sure.
Cover the top tips?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, actually, I can tell you now that the time was 1800 UTC on the dot on the 16th, and as I said, that was just 12 minutes off the actual time. I will be back again tomorrow, and so will Jen, and so please use this opportunity to drop your comments below for her, and she'll be telling you again about life on board as an OBR and how to technically do a little debrief on some of your favorite shots maybe, and anyway, we'll dive into the subject again. That'll be us tomorrow, but that's all for us today. Thanks.
Sounds good.